Welcome to Brain Vision.
5 people, A, B, C, D, and E, want to sit in a row at a movie theater. In how many ways can this be done if A and B want to sit together, B, C must sit to the right of B but not necessarily next to B, C, D and E don't want to sit next to each other. Let's look at the first question. So A and B want to sit together. In order to answer this question, what we want to do is to think of A and B as one person. AB, right? Seated in that order, A, then B. So our 4 people would be AB, C, D, and E. So we have 4 people that we want to sit in a row. 4 possibilities for the first seat, 3 for the next, 2 for the third, and 1 for the last. We multiply those numbers because of the fundamental counting rule. This gives us 4 factorial, which is equal to 24. But A and B can be seated in the order B, then A. So our 4 people could be BA, C, D, and E. And there would still be 4 factorial ways of seating them. So the total number of ways that we could sit the 5 people if A and B want to sit together will be the 24 plus 24 equal to 48 ways. For the next question, right? In how many ways can we sit the 5 people if C must sit to the right of B? In this case, we look at the different scenarios. In each scenario, we're going to fix the position of B. Okay, so let's look at the case where B sits in the first seat. Right? So there's one possibility for that seat. Just B is going to sit there. For the second seat, any of the other 4 can sit there, including C. For the third seat, 3 possibilities. Fourth seat 2, last seat 1. So under this scenario, there's 4 factorial ways to seat them, or 24. Let's put B in the second seat. So one possibility for that seat. Right? For the first seat, right, B won't sit there and C cannot sit there because it is to the left of B. So there will only be 3 possibilities, A, D, or E. Now for the third seat, right, 2 have already been seated. C can sit there, so there will be 3 possibilities here. Fourth seat 2, last seat 1. Fundamental counting rule, we just multiply those numbers and we get 18. What if we put B in the third seat? Right? So one possibility for the third seat. For that first seat, right, B cannot sit there, C cannot sit there because it is to the left of B. Right? So there will only be 3 possibilities, A, D, and E. In the second seat, only 2 possibilities. C cannot sit there because again it's still to the left of B. For the fourth seat, we know C can sit there, right? And 3 had already been seated, so only 2 possibilities. For the last seat, 1 possibility. By the fundamental counting principle or rule, we just multiply these numbers. That gives us 12. Next, we can put B in the 4th seat, right? So 1 possibility for the 4th seat, just B. Now to the very first seat, there will be only 3 possibilities because B has been seated and C cannot sit there. So 3 possibilities. Similarly, second seat, there will only be 2 possibilities. Third seat, 1. And on the 5th seat, there will only be 1 possibility. If we multiply these numbers by the fundamental counting rule, we get 6. Note that B cannot sit on the 5th seat because then C won't be able to sit anywhere because there is no way C can be seated to the right of B. So these are all the scenarios. These are the only scenarios that we need to look at. And the total number of ways to seat the 5 people would be 24 plus 18 plus 12 plus 6. That gives you a total of 60 ways. For question C, in how many ways can we sit 5 people in a row if D and E don't want to sit next to each other? So we know that if we want to sit 5 people with no conditions or restrictions, there would be 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, 5 factorial ways of doing this. That's 120. From our answer in A, if 2 particular people want to sit next to each other, right? If they want to sit together, then there are 48 ways of doing that. So this is if any 2 particular people like D and E sit next to each other. So the number of ways the 5 people can be seated where D and E are not seated next to each other is just going to be the difference between these two. Right? So 120 minus 48, so you take away the number of ways they can be seated if D and E sit next to each other. This should give you the answer to this question, which is going to be 72. Right? This is the number of ways the 5 people can be seated if D and E don't want to sit next to each other.